What's happening, party people? So, I figured I would give a quick update on the scenario vis-a-vis my custody battle here in Hawaii, which has been going on for 2 years. Keep in mind that it went on for an entire another year in California, and there was about a year that was split between Oregon and California too. So now I've been in this custody battle for 4 years. Now, at the moment, I'm currently winning in the legal system here. I go to court every month, and every single time I present evidence, the judge hears the evidence, and the judge rules pretty much in my favor every time. Hey, let the kids see his dad. Let this guy see his kids. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, suddenly the opposing party is actually honoring the court orders as of, a couple of weeks ago anyway. So I've actually seen the kids now 6 times. Now, keep in mind that I didn't see them for an entire 8 months, even though I've had this order since February of this year, and it's now November, that the order was not followed for this entire year. But suddenly, the opposing party is now following court orders for the first time ever. I don't know why. And you would think, well, that's a great thing, and it is. It's very good that I'm being able to see the kids, and it's very good that the kids are being able to see me. However, the damage has been done. My kids have been suffering parental alienation now for 4 years at the hands of the custodial parent. So this is not something that's just going to go away with a couple of visitations. It's getting better every visit, but it's been very, very difficult. It's been very hard, painful, and arduous, I think, for all 3 of us, and for the supervisor, whoever's there. Today was the easiest visit we've had yet, so that's the good news. But even today, I mean, it wasn't particularly easy. The kids are very physically aggressive. They don't want to do anything that I say wherever we are, wherever we're at. If I'm telling them, oh, say thank you to the waitress, or say thank you to the man who makes balloon art or whatever, they'll say thank you. But other than that, they don't really do what I say. I say, hey, don't run over there. Don't do this. Don't. Don't do that, and they just don't listen to me at all. They have no respect for me, and why should they? I've been out of their lives almost entirely for this entire year, not by choice. I've been going to court and fighting every single month for almost 4 years now, and like I said, I'm finally getting some headway here in the state of Hawaii, but I don't know why. And the other thing that we're coming up against now is, so right now I have supervised visitation. So I have to have a supervisor there watching me watch my kids. And keep in mind, once again, I have no history of drug or alcohol abuse. I have no history of any kind of violence. I have no criminal history of any kind. I literally have no record whatsoever of malfeasance towards anyone, ever. And yet, the opposing party has been able to secure supervised visitation now in 2 states for almost 4 years. Now, the supervisors in general, I don't know what the qualifications are, how they get that job. And they're generally nice people. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about them, but I want to go do healthy outdoor activities with my kids. I want to hike mountains and go swimming. And you're not allowed to do that with a supervised visitor. You're allowed to go to a restaurant and sit there and eat dinner. That's it. You're allowed to sit on a park bench. You're allowed to maybe run around for a little bit at a park. So I've been trying to engage in all of those activities, and I've been trying to do my best to make them a fruitful, positive visit for all of us. But it's really difficult with the restrictions set by the supervisors, by the state, by the opposing party. There's just a lot of things that I would want to do as a parent that I can't do. And they're, healthy, educational, outdoor activities predominantly is what I would like to do that I cannot do. Also, there's some real limitations set on like where we can meet and how we can meet. Like I'll say, hey, I want to meet at a park, and then we can go to a restaurant. They're like, we cannot go to a restaurant. We can't walk across the street from the park to the restaurant. That's not allowed. So my choice is, we either meet at the restaurant and forego the park experience altogether, or we meet at the park and I have to order Grubhub or DoorDash or whatever any of these garbage food delivery services are, most of which cost an exorbitant amount of money. And again, I wouldn't mind spending the money on the food and the delivery, but I'm also paying the supervisor. So I've had 6 visits now in the last 3 weeks, and because I'm getting 2 visits per week, so I've had 6 visits, and the total cost, including paying the supervisor, paying DoorDash, all the other aspects of this activity, have cost me about $850. So I did the math, and basically it's going to come out to be, between $1,200 and $1,500 a month for me to capitalize on the visitation of my kids. And that's not even the full court-ordered visits now. This is only an hour and a half per visit. I'm supposed to have one 2-hour visit. No, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to have one 3-hour visit and one 6-hour visit. And right now I'm only getting an hour and a half visit and a 2-hour visit. And the costs go up with the length of the visit. So once again, the court orders are not being followed. I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier and said that they were being followed. They are not being followed. I am only getting an hour and a half visit and a 2-hour visit when I'm supposed to be getting a 3-hour visit and a 6-hour visit. And obviously the longer visits would be better. There'd be more chance for the kids to get to know their dad, more chance for me to get to know what they're thinking about, talking about. Unfortunately, though, too, a lot of our worlds have really diverged since we were last a family. When I had the kids full time, while the custodial parent was working at a marijuana dispensary, doing dabs with the other managers in the back, who are largely teenagers listening to mumble rap, etc. Just set up the scene here. When I had the kids at that time, we were on a farm growing our own organic heirloom food, raising chickens, building well houses and other structures on the property, fixing fences, planting fruit trees, planting raspberries, trying to do really healthy outdoor activities that were really focused on what is the best way to raise children, based on the evidence and literature that I read. And now they, have been being dragged from Navy base to Navy base all over, the worst parts of whatever community that Navy base happens to be in. Generally, military housing is not like, in this nice posh area. It's generally the hood, really, is what it is. So they're in the hood, and they're watching a lot of corporate television, a lot of junk on tablets and televisions and the other devices I don't even know. And they want to talk about that stuff because it's what they're familiar with. They're familiar with this corporate garbage media that they've been taking in 24/7. I don't hear about much else that they've done. I don't hear anything about their schooling. I don't hear about them playing with other friends. I don't hear about physical activities. I don't hear about arts, literature, any of that. I just hear about this corporate garbage that they're being fed. I don't know if it's 24/7, but I feel like the predominant aspect to their existence is corporate garbage. I really believe that is the case. They're always talking about, some movie. Today they were talking about Star Trek, and Star Trek's cool. I mean, Star Trek's better than most of the stuff they talk about, honestly. A lot of times they're talking about some, garbage superhero movie or some YouTuber who's playing Minecraft and trying to be funny while she plays Minecraft. And I'm trying to relate with them. And honestly, I've sat down and watched some of this stuff, so I have something to talk with them about. And it's just really, really depressing. It's really depressing to know that that's what they're focused on. It's really depressing to know that that's what their life is like when I'm not around. And they have no frame of reference for the things I have to talk about. I want to talk about music and foreign languages and travel and literature and hiking and all of these things. I want to talk about all the animals that I see in nature, and there's not a lot of that going on because they're just plugged in front of the TV all the time. They're plugged in front of the tablet all the time, and so it really makes the conversation difficult. Even though I'm finally getting the court-ordered visitation for the first time in like 2 years. So, and again, no idea why. I mean, the court orders have been violated for 4 years, and now suddenly, for like the first time in almost 2 years, the court orders are being semi-followed. Again, I'm not getting the 3-hour visit and the 6-hour visit, but I'm getting the hour and a half visit and the 2-hour visit. So it's like almost like paying lip service to the court orders. I'm not really sure what's up with that. And I want to take them to some, healthy, amazing ethnic restaurant, but I can't because if we go to the park, we can't walk down the street to the healthy ethnic restaurant. We can only go to whatever restaurant is right there at the park or order Grubhub or something of that nature. And it's very, very discouraging. And on top of that, it's ridiculously expensive. I mean, I've had 6 visits, and so far I've spent $850. Now in California, I was getting supervised visits for a little while as well. And at that point, I spent almost $20,000 on supervised visits between Valentine's Day and Valentine's Day and August of 2018, I believe. I had a lot of supervised visits at that time, and I spent almost $20,000 on supervised visits with the kids. And that's on top of the $200,000 I've spent on lawyers and going to court and all of that, and moving from state to state, trying to stay in my children's lives. Just ramming through every roadblock set up by the custodial parent, and the money that they receive from Navy Guy number 4, their parents, wherever else they're getting this money. I mean, this is probably not a job. Let's be real. But it's been very, very financially difficult. And I work all the time. I'm working. If I'm not visiting the kids, I'm working all the time. I go on a hike once or twice a week, and I visit the kids twice a week. And other than that, I am working all the time. And I don't make bad money. I don't make great money, but I don't make bad money. And all of that money is just going towards this. All of it. I mean, I was thinking the other day, hey, I could fix my viola because I have a viola that's broken, and it would be really useful to be able to play the viola for different recordings. I'm doing some recordings for my own music and also for some other bands too. I play cello and violin, and wouldn't it be great to be able to play the viola? And my viola is damaged. It needs some repairs, and I can't afford the repairs for the viola because I'm spending so much money on this process. So now I'm limiting how much money I can make because I can't actually afford to repair the tools that I need to go and do the normal amount of work that I need to do. And again, this is ridiculous because I'm making plenty of money. But, rent is not cheap in Honolulu. Rent is it's not terrible compared to like San Francisco, New York, or San Diego, but it's approaching those levels. It's pretty difficult. And to know that I have to spend $1,200 a month on rent and then $1,200 a month on seeing the children is it becomes a very significant financial burden, financial strain. And again, there's no call for any of this. I've never needed a supervisor ever. I've been feeding my kids healthy, organic, heirloom food since they were born. I've been working and teaching kids for 20 years with no incident at all, other than maybe a couple of scheduling snafus or something where parents said they were going to be there and weren't, or I scheduled something and I had another student at the same time or something like that. So there's really no call for any of this. And yet here we are now, 4 years later, and I'm still just shoveling money into a hole just to be able to see my children at all. And it's very limiting. It's very degrading too when you have a supervisor there sitting there second guessing what you say. It's like, I don't know what I can and can't say to my own children. I want to tell them, hey, wearing a mask is not efficacious. It's not medically recommended. Your dad worked for the Department of Health. Your dad knows a lot about this whole situation with COVID, and I want to be able to tell them, don't live in fear. Don't limit your interactions with other human beings. Get plenty of vitamin D. Get plenty of zinc. All the things that they need to do to be healthy and happy. I want to support them in. And it's like, I'm not sure whether I can tell them that or not, because sometimes the supervisor's sitting there and I'm like, what am I saying that could get me in trouble with the supervisor, that could lead me to get a bad report from the supervisor? I don't know. I just, that's the thing. I don't know. I'm not saying definitively that something I've said could get me in trouble that would like limit my ability to continue these visitations, but I just don't know. and having to walk on eggshells with a third party there, like, judging your interaction with your own children. It's very unnatural. It's very artificial and weird. And if anything, the other parent should be supervised. I mean, the other parent has 2 DUIs, continued to drive drunk afterwards, has a history of all kinds of drug abuse, mental issues, bipolar, narcissistic personality disorder. I mean, so many issues that I would definitely prefer if they were being supervised with my children, honestly. And yet here I am with no record of any of that. I mean, none. None. I literally have not done anything. Everybody's like, oh, you must have done something. I did nothing. The only evidence they presented against me in court when she was able to get the restraining order was memes from Facebook, which I did not create, which I did not even post. I might have put haha or thumbs up or something. And then I found out later that the judge who granted that restraining order was a personal friend of her father's, Matt Garish. Judge Jim Wood is a friend of Matt Garish. They fire guns at the same shooting range. They have a longer history than that. The courthouse is right down the street from Dimensional Technologies, the business that the custodial parents' father and uncle have been running for like 20 years. So, I mean, this is an old boys club, and I was not one of the old boys. So that's how I got in this situation. And I don't think that's uncommon either. I think this happens to a lot of people. It's always who you know. It's not what you know. It's not your qualifications. It's not what you've done. It's always who you know. And I didn't know Jim Wood. I didn't know any other corrupt judge in the San Diego County family court. He was not even supposed to work for the family courts. It's like he got moved over to the family courts briefly just to like screw me over and screw my kids over, and then like went right back to some other facet of being a judge. And why should we be surprised? This is not a constitutional court. There's no jury of your peers. There's no timely manner in which the trial is handled. You're guilty until proven innocent. In fact, you're guilty even after you prove your own innocence, in my case, and probably in many other cases as well. So it should be no surprise that the outcome for this kangaroo court that we call family court is not good for kids. It's not good for parents. It's not good for society. A lot of these kids who get alienated from one or the other parent, they end up having all kinds of issues later in life. Drug abuse, violence, crime, teen pregnancy. I mean, so many things go wrong in these kids' lives because they've been abused in this manner. And I'm trying to limit that, with my kids. I'm really trying to stop the abuse by all means possible. I mean, I'm going to court. I'm emailing, I'm video chatting, I'm taking evidence, I'm making spreadsheets. I'm doing so much stuff just to try to continue to fight. But it's been 4 years. I've been fighting this battle for almost 4 years. I still haven't really got anywhere. I'm seeing the kids briefly twice a week. They're still violating the video chat orders. They're still violating the actual visitation orders because I'm only getting an hour and a half and 2 hours instead of 3 hours and 6 hours. And on top of that, I'm just getting absolutely raked over the coals financially. I mean, like any chance that I had to like upgrade my tools, invest in, better infrastructure for me to be able to get back and forth to work. I was thinking about buying a different car than I have. I was thinking about buying a boat to live on and cut some expenses that way. And it's like, it's really, none of that is possible because I'm shoveling every dollar I can at these supervisors just so I can see my own children. And my case isn't unique or interesting. I ran into an old coworker at a previous job that I had here in Honolulu today, a really nice guy. And he was like, oh yeah, my uncle just got divorced and he's, now paying $2,000 a month in child support and this and that and this and that. So, I mean, his life is basically over. And he's like, oh, and my stepdad also is going through a divorce too. So he's getting hit with the same thing. So the 2 guys in his family are in my same situation, similar situation. And everybody here, anybody who's watching this video, 10 other people in my situation. My situation is not unique at all. It happens to a few women too, but it's mostly men. Mostly men get discriminated against by the family court system. And the effects are very, very real on the children and on society at large. We're talking about increased crime, increased poverty. I mean, every stat you can think of is increased by not allowing children to have a relationship with their father. And a lot of dads just give up. A lot of dads give up and commit suicide. A lot of dads give up and just move to another country and just forget they even had kids. A lot of dads give up and go start a new family and just forget about the old kids. And I'm not doing that. I'm going state to state to state, going to court again and again, and emailing again and again, and phone calling and making spreadsheets and sending them. And it's just the legal documentation. I mean, I've got cases and cases and cases of paperwork like this. And by and large, when you submit those to the court, they don't even read them. Half the time, they don't even know that you submitted something. You go into the court and you're like, oh yeah, I want to bring up Exhibit A. They're like, oh, I don't have Exhibit A. Like, oh, I want to bring up Exhibit B. They're like, oh no, I didn't get Exhibit B. Oh, I want to talk about Exhibit C. I don't have any of these exhibits. We're going to have to continue. And continue means we're going to kick the can down the road. I've had continuance after continuance after continuance. I think I'm on my 20th continuance in the state of Hawaii now. Can't even tell you how many continuances I had in California. California was far worse. I don't want to complain about Hawaii overall because it is so much better than California, which is just a fetid, heaping pile of horse manure. California court systems are garbage. You wait 6 months to even get your foot in the door in California. And all of that time, your kids are suffering. They're like, where's dad? How come I haven't seen dad? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? In the case of my kids, I mean, they had to see guy after guy after guy and never see their dad. And the one time they saw their dad, their mom tried to run me over in front of Everett School. While they were in the car, I saw their faces looking at me from their car seats in the back seat. And she's like slamming on the gas, coming right at me. And then in court later, she claimed I jumped in front of the car. Like I'm going to all this work and trouble for my children, and then I'm just gonna randomly commit suicide by jumping in front of a car, like in front of it's such an obvious and grotesque lie. And it's such an obvious and grotesque person who would do that to their own kids and then fake an attempt at running over the kid's father while the kids are in the car. I mean, this is like animal behavior. I mean, and not well animal, like rabid animal behavior. It's just, this is the situation. I'm just posting an update. I am seeing the kids. So overall, my legal strategy of just going to court over and over and over and over again has been working to an extent because I am seeing the kids now. But again, it's all supervised and it's ridiculously expensive. Now, in California, I was paying for all of the supervised visits. Now, the custodial parent is paying half of the supervised visitation fees. Now, they're still not paying for the travel and the crazy expensive delivered food and all these other weird expenses that you end up having in this situation. So they're definitely not paying half, but they are paying half of the supervisor fees. So I'm hopeful that at some point they realize that they're wasting, 2/3 as much money as I'm wasting on this process, and maybe just let me have a regular, healthy relationship with my kids. That's really all I've wanted from the beginning. I want to take them to the park. I want to take them on a hike. I want to take them to the beach. I want to teach them German and Spanish and Japanese and read books to them and practice watercolor and pastels and sketching and learn how to play the guitar and the violin and the ukulele. Healthy things. That's all I want to do with my kids. That's all I've ever wanted to do with my kids. And I keep begging the state to please let me help my kids develop in a healthy way and have that experience that's not directly tied to the military-industrial complex, that's not directly tied to the welfare of the state, that's not directly tied to all these really horrible aspects to our society that's all they've known when they're not with me. I mean, they're just going from military base to military base, living off the government teat. It's just, and the psychology of that, it trickles down. Somebody who lives and works in that environment doesn't feel good about themselves. They can't. You can't live on, stolen money, which is what taxpayer money is. Taxation is theft. That is stolen money from the taxpayer. You can't live on stolen money and doing like this terrible work for this giant enterprise of genocide and murder and death and feel good about yourself. You just can't. This is why people in the military have PTSD. This is one of the reasons why. They almost everybody in the military suffers PTSD, and some of them didn't even see like, battle or anything else, but they still have that PTSD because they know deep down what they're doing is wrong. They know deep down what they're doing for society is wrong. They know deep down that they're harming everything on the planet. And I do literally mean everything on the planet. If you're an environmentalist, the United States military is one of the biggest polluters on the planet, worse than most of the giant Fortune 500 corporations. So there's that. Happy Veterans Day, by the way. Yeah, so it's just, and that trickles down. When those people feel bad about themselves, then they feel bad about, their interactions, and they treat other people badly. And I just know that kind of stuff is happening to my kids. I know it. I mean, I can tell. I can tell. I'm only seeing them a couple hours a week right now, 3.5 hours per week. I'm supposed to be seeing them 9 hours per week. I'm seeing them 3.5 hours per week. So once again, the court orders are not being followed. They are being violated still, as of today. Also, the video chats are being violated too. So I'm actually supposed to see them 9.75 hours per week, and I'm seeing them instead 3.5 hours. Maybe close to 4, because occasionally I do get a video chat, but normally they're violated. Almost every time the video chat is violated. So, and again, it's this typical thing, the incentivized thing, like hang up on your dad and you can have ice cream. Hang up on your dad and you can play with your friends. Hang up on your dad and you can play video games. Hang up on your dad and you can watch more of that garbage corporate television you've been watching all day. You know that's going on. So, but I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm healthy. I'm eating a lot of vegetables and fruit, and I'm hiking, and I'm working in an industry that is not destructive to the environment, that is not destructive to the American taxpayer, that is not destructive to our society, that is not murdering children in the third world with robots, as our military does. So, I'm staying healthy and I'm staying in the game. That's all I've been doing, and I'm going to continue to do that. If anything happens to me, you know where to look, because I will never stop. I will never give up. I am relentless, I am ruthless, and I am persistent, and I will never give up, especially when it's the well-being of my kids we're talking about. And I feel bad for the dads that do give up, either, drugs, alcohol, suicide, moving, whatever it is. I mean, most dads do give up and go do something else. But I will never give up and go do something else, ever. And I've told the opposing counsel that. I've told the opposing party that. I believe I even mentioned that to Mr. Garcia when we were in the courthouse, and he was scared to death of me, even though there were cops everywhere. I'm like maybe I could get one, if I was going to, maybe I could get one punch in before I get tased by like 20 cops. And he was just like terrified, like, oh, if you talk to me, I'm going to call the cops. I'm like, there's cops everywhere here. Call them now. Like, I'm just trying to have a conversation with the dude who's living with my kids, you freak. Yeah, so that's what's going on in my life. That's what's going on with the custody battle. I will continue to fight every step, every day, in every way. Everett and Grace, I love you very much. I am so sorry that you had no exposure to your dad for almost 8 months this year. I am so sorry that you had no opportunity to have a relationship with your dad for almost 8 months back in San Diego 2 years ago. I am so sorry that COVID happened and that the custodial parent used that as an excuse to continue to further alienate you from me, from your grandparents, from your uncles, from your aunt, from all of your cousins, from all the friends of the family that we had. I still have a relationship with all of these people who know Everett and Grace from when they were little, and Everett and Grace don't remember any of them now because it was years ago. But they're asking me, hey, how's Everett? How's Grace? I talked to I have a colleague that I still work with now that we were good friends with in Oregon, and she said, "Hey, how are Everett and Grace? How are they doing? They must be getting tall by now." And I said, "Yeah, they're getting tall, And I asked the kids, "Hey, do you remember so and so?" And they were like, "No, I don't remember them." And these are people who could be a positive influence on my kids' lives for decades. I mean, these are wonderful, good people, good, hardworking, blue-collar American families who, have kids and did a great job raising their kids, and who could be some kind of effect on my kids' lives, and yet have also been alienated. I mean, much less their dad, their grandparents, their uncles. I mean, even these other like random third and fourth parties, like our drummer in Oregon, Marshall, is one of the greatest guys I've known in life. He's just a really good guy, and he's got kids that are Everett and Grace's age, and his wife too, Marshall and Rachel, great people, and their two kids are great, Cadence and Quinn, and for a while, Everett and Grace and Cadence and Quinn were like peas and carrots. I mean, they were running all around and having so much fun, and they could still be friends now. But Everett and Grace don't remember them. It was years ago. And they probably don't remember Everett and Grace anymore either. So, I mean, these are like, it's not just me. It's not just the grandparents. It's not just the uncles and the aunts and the cousins and the family. It's like all these other people, work colleagues and friends and childhood friends and parents of childhood friends and friends of work colleagues and stuff. I mean, there's some really positive people that I've had in my life that could be still today in my kids' lives, and have just been erased from existence completely, as has their entire paternal family for 4 years, because of a corrupt judge, Jim Wood, and Matt Garish, a corrupt, sneaky, slimy, backstabbing, pathetic weasel of a man who has no spine, no integrity, and no human decency. And Everett and Grace, when you find these videos and you're old enough to watch these, just know I was in your corner the whole time. And some people, like your own grandfather, Matt Garish, were not in your corner at all. And look what a bang-up job he did raising his daughters. It's not like this is only Everett and Grace and me. Their aunt Rhonda did the same thing to Matt. A different Matt, not Matt Garish. Matt Herm, great guy, really great guy. Matt Herm's still a friend of mine. I talk to Matt Herm all the time still. I mean, he's just a really genuinely nice guy. He got screwed even harder by my kid's aunt Rhonda. I don't think he's quite as relentless and ruthless and persistent as I am, and I think also he is a little bit more emotional, so I think he may have made a couple of mistakes somewhere along the way that I didn't make, so he got screwed even harder. And Matt, brother, love you, man. I'm sorry that happened to you. Yeah, there's another great guy who's not in my kids' lives. For what? For what? Because the custodial parent thought they were going to get a little bit more child support money or something. I mean, I don't understand the motive. What is the motive for torturing your own children for 4 years? Is it really just about the money? What's it about? I don't, I'm never going to understand, and I don't need to, because I'm just going to keep fighting. Going to court again next Wednesday, a week from today. We're going to court again. And I've got another big stack of paper to turn into the courthouse again. All this more evidence of more court-ordered violations and more evidence of child abuse and more evidence of psychological issues with the people who have been perpetrating this crime against me and my children for 4 years. But it's like at this point, why even bother turning it in? They're not going to read it. They're not going to look at it. It's just going to be continued. Oh, no. Oh, you brought more evidence? Oh, we're definitely going to continue this one. And the continue means what? The continue means I have to stick with the supervised visitors. It means I have to stick with the court order violations, for which there is no penalty. These orders have been violated for 4 years, and there's never been a penalty once. There's never been a time when the judge was like, oh, you were supposed to see the kids twice a week, and she didn't let you, and yeah, we're going to charge her 10 grand. That never happened. No, they're like, oh, well, we're going to just change the order slightly, and maybe she'll obey this time. I don't know. And honestly, it's odd, because now, for the first time in like 2 years, she is obeying the court order, sort of. So it is very odd. But I mean, this whole thing is worthless, and unconstitutional, of course. Jury of your peers, right to a speedy trial. Both of those do not exist in family court. Ask anybody. Ask the winners if they got a speedy trial or a jury of their peers. They did not. So it's unconstitutional, it's illegal, it's immoral, unethical, and the results are plain to see. There's a reason why the United States has such an epidemic of teen pregnancy, drug and alcohol abuse, suicide, all of these, obesity. I mean, all of these can be traced back to kids not having access to their parents. And why the custodial parent would want that for our kids, I don't understand. I'll never understand. And I don't need to understand, because I'm going to be here and I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to be fighting for those kids forever. All right, Internet fam, you know as much as I know now. Love you all. Hope you're having a great day. And to the opposing counsel, if you watch these videos, which I hope you do, you should feel truly disgusted with yourselves for aiding and abetting in this child abuse. This is child abuse. Not letting kids see their parents is one of the most horrific things you can do to them. Psychologically, physically, everything. It's very bad. And you are aiding and abetting a known serial child abuser. You should feel rotten to your core. And if you don't, you're just foul. All right. Have a good day, Internet fam. Happy Veterans Day.